Have you ever achieved something big and still felt like something inside of you is missing? Tony was just 14 the day everything changed. He had just crossed the finish line, first place, at the National Junior Olympic Track and Field Championships. People said he flew like the wind that day, effortlessly, naturally, unstoppable. For a moment, it felt like a dream come true. Months of training, 4 a.m. runs, sacrifices, silence, all of it finally paid off. But what no one tells you is, sometimes your brightest day is the one that steals your joy the most. That night, while everyone celebrated, something inside Tony quietly disappeared. Ever feel like Tony? Like you're winning on the outside, but crumbling on the inside, but you're too afraid to admit it? Because what would that even mean? The second he won, he wasn't just a kid anymore. He was a symbol, a champion, a local legend, and the weight of that, it hits heavy when you're still trying to figure out who you are. He used to run because he loved it. Now, he ran because everyone expected him to win. It wasn't just about track anymore. He had to be perfect at everything. Great in school, charming with friends, the perfect son, the perfect student, the perfect example. He was admired by everyone, but seen by no one, applauded on the outside, invisible on the inside. How do you feel so alone when everyone knows your name? Back when life was simple, Tony had two best friends, Stephanie and Charlie. They were his real team. Charlie loved music more than running. Stephanie was the glue, reminding them to eat, to laugh, to live. They didn't care if he won or lost. They just liked Tony for being Tony. But after the championship, that circle cracked. Tony got new friends, or people who just wanted to stand near the spotlight. He became the leader, the example, the face. But behind the smile, he was exhausted, empty. Because when you're popular for what you do, not who you are, you start to feel like a constant performance, not a person. There's this thing about popularity no one tells you. It gives you access to everything, except peace. The more you have, the more you're expected to be. Always on, always impressive, never vulnerable, never enough, never weak. It's not just pressure, it's isolation, dressed as admiration. He stopped running for joy, started running from himself. And every morning, 4 a.m., when his alarm went off, what used to feel like freedom now felt like a jail. Even his dad, proud as he was, started to see him less like a son and more like a trophy. Tony's the fastest kid in the state. He'd grab every opportunity to take photos. People would say it at the gas station his dad owned, but no one ever asked, is Tony happy? Is he okay? Is he tired of chasing something that no longer feels like his? And slowly, it all started to unravel. He'd lie in bed at night staring at the ceiling, wondering, what's the point of winning if it only brings more unhappiness? Just when the weight felt unbearable, something unexpected happened. One afternoon, Stephanie showed up at practice. She brought sandwiches, one for Charlie, one for Tony. No cameras, no praise, just presence, just the three of them, like old times. Tony didn't know what to say. He hadn't seen her in months, but somehow, like she has always done in the past, she showed up exactly when he needed someone most. And in the middle of that quiet moment, as they sat on the bench, unwrapping memories disguised as lunch, Stephanie looked up and said, I have cancer, just like that. No build-up, no drama, just the truth. Charlie dropped his sandwich. Tony froze. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. I was waiting to have something hopeful to tell you, but then I realized maybe hope doesn't always come first. Sometimes it follows the truth. And in that moment, something shifted. Because here was Stephanie, the glue, the caretaker, the one who always made sure everyone else was okay, finally letting them in. No performance, no perfection, just raw, honest presence. And that's when Tony finally understood. You don't have to be strong all the time. You don't have to be okay to be loved. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is let yourself be seen. After that day, everything changed for Tony. The race, the fame, the expectations, they didn't matter the same way anymore, because someone he loved was hurting, and all he wanted was to show up for her the way she always showed up for him. So he did. He skipped practice without guilt, brought her smoothies on the days she couldn't eat, sat in silence when the pain spoke louder than words. He'd reread her old texts and laugh, just to see her smile. And every time he left her house, he'd whisper, "I'll be back." And he always was. 4 months later, Stephanie passed away. She was 17, and the world got a little quieter. But something else happened too. Tony stopped running from pain, from pressure, from himself, because Stephanie had taught him something no trophy ever could. Love is not about doing, it's about being. Being present, being real, being there, even when you're not sure how. After the funeral, Tony sat alone on the track. No crowds, no cameras, just him, and the echoes of all the races he'd ever run. He thought about how Stephanie used to yell from the sidelines, "Just breathe, T, you've got this." And this time he whispered it to himself, "Just breathe, you've got this." But this race was different. It wasn't about speed, it was about heart. Years passed, Tony grew older, graduated, got a job, but he never forgot her. He didn't chase success the way people expected. Instead, he showed up for people. He volunteered at the hospital where Stephanie got her treatments, spoke to kids who felt like they didn't belong, mentored young athletes, not just on the track, but in life. He'd sit in locker rooms and say, "You don't have to win to be worthy." And they believed him because it wasn't just words, it was how he lived. Tony didn't just live for himself anymore. He lived part of his life for Stephanie. He carried her voice in every act of kindness, every hug, every conversation that started with, "Hey, how are you really?" And in doing that, he healed parts of himself too, because caring for others didn't erase his pain. It gave it purpose. One day, someone asked him, "Why do you give so much? What drives you?" Tony paused, looked out the window. "Because the best person I ever knew showed me what love looks like, and I promised myself I'd never let that die." So if you've ever lost someone you love, if you've ever wondered how to keep going when the world feels heavier without them, maybe this is it. You don't have to carry the weight alone. You carry their light in how you show up, in how you listen, in how you choose people over perfection. Because maybe the greatest way to honor someone you love is to live the way they did, with open hands, open heart, and the courage to care deeply, not for recognition, but for love. If this story touched something in you, pass it forward. Tell someone you care about them. Show up for someone who's struggling. And if you've lost someone, share one way they still live through you. Let's keep their legacy alive, not with statues or medals, but with kindness, presence, and heart. Because in the end, the greatest victories aren't measured in time or trophies. They're measured in love. Just breathe. You've got this.